Normally, when I start planning a painting, I shoot for the stars so I can land on the moon. Well, this time I shot for the basement so when I fell, it wouldn't hurt as much. With the Nintendo Switch 2 announcement, I decided to create a quick art piece on the Zelda series as I'm super excited to see those games on the Switch 2. Of course, I'm hyped up about it, so I have to create something. This is just how I express myself. I don't want to go too crazy, so I'm going to set a few limitations. First, no overly rendered crazy art piece that would take 70 hours. Second, it has to be fun and expressive. Third, I have to step out of my comfort zone. Okay, I knew I wanted to have at least Link in the drawing, the bare minimum, I know, but we're shooting for the basement here. So after searching for some references and inspiration, I come across the Link figure on Amazon of all places, and I decided to run with it. I thought it would be a good starting point. Now that we have that out of the way, let's get to the actual painting. I like to start with the head first and, do those guidelines, and then we start going into figuring out the joints, where the hands are going to be, the arms, things like that. We're going to try to get those angles right and follow the reference pretty closely. It doesn't have to be perfect. Again, we don't want to go into too much detail right now. It's just the sketch phases, so we're just here to mess around and figure things out. Once we get everything figured out and wrapped up, we're going to move on to the next part, which is finding references for Zelda. After searching Pinterest for not very long, I came across yet another figurine, which led me to Amazon, and it was Zelda, so I decided to stick with the theme and just use this as a reference. So now we have a Link figurine and a Zelda figurine. Also, is anyone else getting really frustrated with all the ads on Pinterest? I mean, it seems like every other picture I click on turns out to be an ad for some product that they're trying to sell me. Oh well, we're gonna make the best of it. I'm gonna drop these two figurines as an affiliate link in the description, and if you do decide to purchase them, it'll give me a little kickback, and I'm gonna reinvest it directly into this channel. I'm also gonna drop the link of some of the gear I'm using as well, like my iPad, my mic, my MacBook, and my SSD. A couple of things down there. Anything you do decide to get, it will help me out with getting this channel up off the ground and growing as a content creator. Oh, the irony. Anyway, let's get started on this Zelda sketch. We want to start simple, basic shapes and correct proportions, and then we'll move on to the more complex things. Now, at this point, you may be thinking, but you said you were going to step out of your comfort zone. Well, I am. We're going to get there a little later on, and I'll even add a bonus drawing at the end, so stick around for that. So after deciding on the composition I liked, a simple one at that, I was sort of stumped. You see, initially I wanted to work on just the characters, but that nagging little voice in the back of my head told me I had to do more, that I would be a failure and a cop-out if I just worked on the figures. So like any normal person would do, I ignored it and kept working on the fun part. Yeah, I've made that mistake many times, and yet I still choose to make the same decision. Maybe I am the definition of insanity. Oh well, we ride at dawn. There goes an hour and 50 minutes. Yeah, I had no idea what I was going to do next. I didn't know what to do with the background. I just knew that this looks horrible. Yeah, guess we're trusting the process and hoping for the best. If you know my art, you know that most of it is pretty desaturated. Though this is Nintendo, we have to have colors. So it only made sense to go kind of crazy with the colors, and the first thing that comes to mind when I think of a lot of colors is a beautiful and colorful sky. That's it. We do a sky. We go all in. It doesn't matter what colors we drop on here, the values are the most important thing. So we're just gonna throw in any color we can and hope for the best. That's literally what I did. I just threw in all the colors. I was like, oh, this would look pretty. Let's throw that there. Huh, this would look cool too. Let's throw that there. So I really opened myself up to the creativity. Like, I never do this with art. I really think about a lot of the stuff I do, and I repaint and I repaint and I repaint and I repaint, and I do that over and over again, and I struggle, but this all just fell together and came to me. At this point, I was like, yeah, this needs a lot more texture because it sort of looks like a watercolor painting with no texture right now. Which, nothing wrong with that if that's your thing, but I personally like a lot of texture. So I pulled up one of my favorite artists. I looked at some of his art, Craig Mullen, by the way. I'm probably going to make another video on that, and I just love how he textures things. So I browsed through some of his art, got the inspiration I needed, and then I went in and I just dove right in and did my own thing. Tried to texture it. I didn't care what I was doing because really I just trusted the process. So, by the end of this painting, the total time spent on my Procreate canvas said 4 hours and 5 minutes. But my recorded video said 3 hours and 35 minutes, something like that. So it's somewhere in that range. So part of the challenge for me was not spending 70 plus hours on a drawing, because usually I do that. I tend to spend way too much time on paintings. This one, I decided we're going to do this extremely fast. I'm not going to think about it too much, and I'm going to trust the process and see what happens. But without further ado, here is the final painting. Overall, I'm not disappointed in how this painting turned out. I think it was a good experiment. I think I learned what I needed to learn from that painting. Sometimes it's best to just trust the process, even if you want to scrap it halfway through. You just continue on. I'm also going to make this painting available as a print, so if that's something you're interested in, I'll leave the link in the description. All of the proceeds from that will be going directly back into the channel so that I can reinvest and buy programs and the equipment that I need to better this channel and the quality overall. If you enjoyed this video and you like my art, please consider liking and subscribing, and leave a comment, let me know what you think. And if you like my content and you want to consider supporting me in other ways, I will leave Patreon in the description. That will help me so much. I'm trying to grow that and figure out this whole thing as a content creator. Definitely going to be some good stuff there, and I plan to make more videos in the future on various different topics, maybe tutorials and many other things. Just let me know if there's something you're interested in so that I can kind of make a checklist and figure out what type of videos you like and what videos to make going forth in the future. And here's the extra art I promised at the beginning of the video. These are just the bonuses. This was not part of the challenge. These are previous art pieces that I decided to include in this video.